So today I would like to talk just a little bit about business journey, some of the failures that I've had that have led me to today. As most of you know, I started off, dentist kind of was the primary career, and other businesses along my journey have contributed to, I think, some of the experiences that I've had in self-storage and attributed to some of the success that we've had in self-storage. So if I go way back, while I was a dentist, I had the great idea of opening a dental assisting school. And this lasted for a year. We had one student and it was a disaster. It took a lot of time. I ended up shutting it down. I think another business that I started that had a lot of challenges would be car washes. I owned 2 car washes. They were self-serve and drive-through automatic. And my experience was there was a lot of theft. There was a lot of breakdowns. People were always stealing the quarters, and it seemed like the machines were always breaking down. The labor was challenging, getting them to show up and clean the bays. I ended up exiting that and selling that and basically breaking even. So I wouldn't say it was a loss, but I learned a lot from that. I think what initially got me interested in the car wash is my first car wash was with a self-storage. Someone told me that car washes go well with self-storage, and you don't know what you don't know. And I thought it was just a good idea, so I did it. And I think that was during the Great Recession, 2008. And I think that the silver lining, even though it was a failure and I exited and broke even, I was able to create some cash flow during the lease of that self-storage. But if I were to do it again, I would not do car washes. We don't do car washes with our self-storage at this point. I also was involved in a multifamily project. It was a 27-unit multifamily project that was inhabited by a bunch of crackheads, a complete disaster. I did a lot of sweat equity. I would go in and do a lot of the maintenance, and I did some landscaping. I even took my kids up there at different times. Interesting story about that project. We had a crackhead. They kicked another crackhead out. The crackhead went below the unit that he was staying in a vacant unit, and lit a mattress on fire and burned half the building. At the time, I thought was terrible and called a friend of mine, and he goes, "Well, you have insurance, right?" I said, "Yes." And so it ended up working out okay. We rebuilt that half of the building and sold it, and I made a little bit of money, which then I rolled into my first self-storage project, which was in St. Helens, Oregon. And that's the project I've talked about that I feel like I got my development PhD on that project. Everything that could go wrong and dealing with every jurisdiction. There was wetlands on the property. I had to move a highway access, which was a disaster. The site flooded because the culvert underneath the railroad was too small and the water couldn't get out. So I had to enlarge that culvert under a railroad and deal with the railroad, which took over a year. We had to get a sewer to the site, which I had to run a sewer line. I think it was darn near a mile away, which was very, very expensive and cut into the project. The silver lining on that project, even though it was a disaster developing it, as I sold it, it created enough seed money to do the next project, which was really the one that helped my beliefs and helped me understand that I could actually do self-storage as a career and move forward with it. Another failure that I had in business, I started a home healthcare agency and scaled it. I think we had 30 employees at the time. And in this business, I had a partner that was not in alignment with my core values and the same things. And I went to our equity partner and said, "I'm out. I want to be out." And he said, "I'm not going to buy you out unless I buy your partner out, because we don't want to be partners with her as well." So he ended up buying both of us out, and I essentially broke even on that deal. Another business that I've been in, which was a disaster, would be the cannabis business. I know a lot of people have made money in the cannabis business, and on paper, when I got into this business, it looked really, really good. All said and done, I believe I lost darn near $800,000 on that cannabis project. So it's important to talk about not just the successes, but the failures as well. So for me, going through this business life cycle and journey of all these different businesses led me to self-storage, which is where I feel like we've really hit our stride, and we are hyper-focused on just developing self-storage now. What I believe is where your focus goes, energy flows. So all of our focus is just on self-storage, not on car washes, not on multifamily, not on ancillary businesses. It's just self-storage. And I feel like with hyper-focused and an amazing team that is in alignment with values, we have been able to do some really amazing things with the self-storage base and have success. success. So I think those businesses that led up to self-storage, those failures, I believe that every curse has a blessing. And I think that all of those failures were a blessing to help me get to where I'm at and almost help me get my focus on just doing self-storage, being hyper-focused and developing a great team. I think while I was doing dentistry, we had an amazing team and a beautiful practice, great patients, great team. We were very focused on values and everybody rowing in the same direction. And I don't know what everybody believes in, God, grace, infinite intelligence, higher power, whatever it is. But I had talked about getting out of dentistry for over 5 years to all of my business associates and friends, and I was too chicken to do it. I had the good fortune of having spinal fusion surgery in my neck. So I blew out 2 discs in my neck on one patient, one procedure. And that was the last day that I did dentistry and kind of forced my hand into doing self-storage, and the rest is history. We are exclusively doing self-storage now and hyper-focused on that, really starting to hit our stride.